Hi everyone. In this video, I'll be talking about the promise. So in the previous video, we learned about the callback. It is very important to understand the sequence of code in terms of asynchronous. So you have to understand like how things work behind the scene, like the call stack. So every synchronous call is get executed in this call stack. But if it is asynchronous, it gets executed in this event loop. Okay, so that is the catch part. So, um, so what you can do? Okay, I want to recap one more time like this callback because callback is kind of associated, interrelated with the promise because they solve the same problems. Okay, so we need to understand the callback. So let's recap the callback one more time. So as you can see, get details is just a function, right? Just a function. So in this function, there is an asynchronous job, which is the set timeout. And we know that when it is any kind of asynchronous job, that means HTTP call, API call, set timeout, like any other synchronous task. Okay? So in this function, okay, so it will be shifted to this uh, call stack, right? And when the call stack will identify as a asynchronous task, it will shift the set timeout to this event loop, right? That is why you see this is the code snippet. That means this code block is on the event loop. Okay, so in the event loop, it will wait for 3000 milliseconds. Okay, 3000 milliseconds. That means after 3000 milliseconds, it will shift to the callback. Okay, and the event loop will act as a gatekeeper, and the callback queue will constantly check that if the call stack is empty or not. Okay, so let student will be executed here, then set timeout. I'm repeating again and again. So set timeout will be shifted here in this event loop, and after 3000 milliseconds, it will be shifted to the callback queue, and callback queue will check if the call stack is empty or not. Okay, when it will be empty, that means there is no execution context, it will execute this code. Okay, so when the set timeout has ran already in this event loop, okay, that means there is no event loop. When it is in the callback and in the call stack execution, that means there is no set timeout. Okay, it is just this line of code in this call stack. Okay, now we have the data, student data. Okay, so we can ensure that when we call the isAdult function, we get the student value. Okay, so we are passing this value inside this callback. Okay, and then we can actually like console the data. Okay, so if I run it one more time, I should see, yeah, I can see the data. Okay, so this is how callback can be executed. Now, uh, we need to solve the same problem. We want to solve the same problem with the promise. Okay, so it basically solves the same problem, the same scenario with some improvement because callback has a drawback, which is the callback hill. Okay, So to resolve this issue, we want to use the promise. Okay, let's solve the same problem with the promise. .js. Okay, let's cut all of this, and then I want to mm, get single data student. Then what I can do? Okay, get student details. So I want to create the promise. So how to create the promise? So any API call will see it is just a promise. It returns a promise. So I want to create the custom promise. How to create? Just use the promise keyword, which is provided by the JavaScript. So use this new promise, and then it gives two parameters. One is resolve. Resolve. Another one is reject. Reject. Okay. So I want to mm, move everything. Okay, let's. So this is the behavior of callback function. So we call inside this function, but when in terms of promise, we'll be calling everything outside of the promise. Okay, but we want to define the business logic, the logic inside the promise. Okay, but we'll be like handling, I mean, calling, okay, using this promise outside of this uh, promise block. Okay, so let's remove everything. We don't need it. Okay, so this is just a simple function, and in the function we are creating a custom promise. Okay, so you see, let student, okay, let student, and then set timeout. So how to use it? We need to resolve it, and also we need to reject it. What is resolve? It is just a function call if it is success, and reject is another function call if it is uh, any kind of failed. Okay? So what we can do, mm, in the promise block, we can resolve it. Okay, as we have the student data, we can resolve it by how? By passing the student data. Okay, and if the student is not uh, valid, I mean, if it is falsy, then we can reject it. How to reject? Student is not available. Okay, so this is how we can resolve it and reject it. So this is a custom one. But when we will use the API, like we'll be calling the API, we know uh, when any HTTP calls is made, uh, we get the promise as a response. And by getting that promise, we can use the then catch block. Okay, then catch block, then we can handle the result. Okay, success or the failure data. So what we can do, we are done with the get students details function. So if okay is adult, we don't need this one. It should return the promise. Oh, I need to return it basically because we know it function has to return something. So I should see something now. Yeah, now I see promise. So it is returning promise. So it is a kind of TypeScript syntax. So you can see, we can see the uh, like the return type. Okay, the return type is promise. So when you see this type of return type, you can handle, okay, get the success or failure message by using then catch block. Okay, then catch block as you already used. Okay, so how to use raise? We know just we can console it, right? Or we can do any kind of data. I mean, any kind of business logic here, depending on this data. Okay, raise, and we can also block. I mean, catch. Oops, catch the error, right? So error, save it. Okay, so let's see, run it, undefined. What is the issue? Resolve student. Oh, I need to move everything. Okay, let me check. Let me check. Student. Okay, I did mistake. So did some mistake. If it is so there is a syntactical mistake. Set timeout. Okay, it's good. Now, so, okay, now I need to use this and then this. Okay. Okay. So we are just moving everything like the resolve and reject inside the set timeout, because if you like omit this outside of this set timeout, it will be included in the synchronous code. Okay, but we want it in the asynchronous behavior. We know it is just a function call, as like uh, will act as function call. So we are just assuming, but not the actual function call. Okay, this is like this one. Okay, okay, I think it'll define. Yeah, now I'm getting the data after 3000 milliseconds. So this is how you can you can execute and solve the same problem with the promise. Okay, now we don't have the uh, like the callback here. That means here, depending on this data, like this is the callback concept. So depending on this data, okay, we want to call another function. Okay, this is the behavior of callback function. But here in promise, we don't need, like, we can skip the uh, callback here. Okay, so we can actually call another function, okay, depending on this result. Let's say uh, we have the response, okay, so we can call if response has let's say age is greater than 20, I want to call another function. Okay, so we can get, like, we can uh, call another function that basically returns uh, let's say get student greater than 20, for instance. Okay, so you're just returning a data, another promise. Right? So let's say Tanjina. Okay. Okay. So now, depending on this age, 25, you see, 20, 25. So if it is greater than 20, I want to call this function. Okay. So what I can do, I can call this function. You have to call it and then use the same syntax, which is then catch, as it is uh, returning the promise. So we have to handle in this then catch block. Okay. So console.log response. Okay. So if I pin name, okay, and catch res, it should be error console.log error. Okay. So give a pause and try to answer this question. What will be the value of this name? Okay. You see, get student is this function. That means we'll get this Tangerine. Okay, let's see. I I believe. So we'll get we'll have to wait 6 seconds because we have two set timeout. Yeah, you see Tangerine. Okay, this is how asynchronous task gets executed on the event loop. Okay, this is very important to understand the sequence of the synchronous code and asynchronous code. Okay. Okay, this is the promise. So we solve the same problem with two different concepts. One is callback, another one is promise. And in the next video, we'll be solving the same problem with the async await, which is the modern one we use to get the asynchronous behavior in synchronous way. We'll explore in the next video. Thank you.